What's up, everyone? Today I want to talk about taking action. Here's the truth of the matter. In a lot of areas in life, information is important. Let's just be frank. If you knew how to do things in a certain way, if you knew that, a person did this, or you know, if you knew that a person liked doing this, or a girl preferred these traits in a guy, or you can improve on this to do better in terms of making more money, or you could improve this to be more attractive, or you can do this to be more likable and make more friends. That's obviously very, very helpful. But information on its own is not everything. You have to do something with that information and take action, or it is just useless information and nothing more than potential power. I used to think knowledge was power, but I have realized that knowledge is nothing more than potential power. And, you know, absorbing that and consuming that is amazing, but most often you fall into this trap of information overload where you are doing nothing more than consuming more and more information and not doing anything about it. This can apply to a lot of areas. I have found that this is applied for me specifically in terms of a few areas. The biggest is probably dating advice. And arguably, I have taken a lot of action on it as well. But there were definitely times where I have, consumed tremendous amounts of information on dating and a lot of these other areas from every source you can imagine, from people who charged for it to people who didn't charge and uh, delivered hours upon hours of free content. And I oftentimes didn't take enough action. Or maybe, I took action, but the advice wasn't that good. So sometimes it wasn't necessarily the fault of not taking action. But the point is, there were definitely times where information was not this key to everything. There's two things. One is the right information, so figuring out what you absolutely need, and then two, sometimes it's just figuring things out by taking action. You know, Sometimes you can hear all the advice in the world, but you have to go out and figure it out for yourself. Or you have to realize maybe these things aren't working out specifically as I had hoped. How about I just figure it out by myself, maybe go against these models that people have constructed because perhaps they are not right for me, or there's new things to be discovered. The same thing can also apply to business advice. So you can sit here for until the end of time reading and consuming the best information in the world from the top business experts of all time, and you end up going nowhere because this business knowledge isn't put into action. You could know that if you did this and that and this, and if you did this, then your company would make 3 times more money. And if you were like this to your employees and you were more sociable and you praised them more, you would get them to be much more happier, much more productive, much more invested in the company and you. But if you never go out and do it, that's another thing completely. I like this analogy, and I got this from Michael Sartain. He is a contestant on Millionaire Matchmaker, and I did an interview with him for my YouTube. And he said theory, and he was talking about dating theory and pickup artist theory. He said theory is only 15% of it. 85% of it is in actually doing it and practicing it. And he equated it to basketball. You can spend all the time in the world learning about the theory and the book knowledge and reading books and studying charts on basketball. And it's funny because when I was, 10 years old, that's what I would do. I would check out basketball books and read them to see if I could learn some new things. And honestly, I did, because there's certain tricks and tactics that professionals knew about that kids really had no idea about that could help you. But at the end of the day, some things by their nature require certain amounts of actual, you know, action to learn. So you can only learn so much, but you have to really feel the ball and throw the ball to figure out, this is too close, this is too far. You know, all the knowledge in the world from videos and maybe even, books can help you so much. And I found this to be the case in dating for sure. Same thing applies to management skills and people skills. You can have all this theory and all these visual demonstrations, but despite feeling like you have more experience than anyone on earth on it, when you actually go out and do it, you realize, oh my goodness, I can't do what was demonstrated to me, and I know down to a T in my mind, because you have to actually go out and practice it and physically feel it and touch it and demonstrate it. And by doing that, you can actually literally start sculpting it and working on it. And some things just require actual physical practice, whether it's tennis, whether it's piano, whether it's playing an instrument, whether it's writing a book, whether it's sculpting a sculpture. All the mind theory can only get you so far. All the information can only get you so far. Remember that and take action. I'll see you in my next video. Peace.